we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Hams Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
Was brought to you by
just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning again and welcome along to the GMU Business Updates. And here we are. Yesterday, Martyrs, they presented a very huge, lucrative opportunity for the business community because of the thousands of people who flocked or who were flooded in the two areas, that is at the Anglican site and the Catholic site. Many businesses made some money, if you come to think of it, especially from the small-scale businesses perspective, and of which it is where we are starting from in our business news this morning. Because when you look at many of the businesses that changed the line of things they actually deal in that 1 week of preparations for the Uganda Martyrs, you get to realize that many were hoping to tap into the opportunities that were provided at the Uganda Martyrs, as the overflow of pilgrims and visitors excited the many vendors right from Chaliwajala. Now, there was a general concern of economic strain due to the supply of goods and services that were exceeding demand, because when you look at the demand of many of the goods was quite high than what the traders had. Now, the overflow of pilgrims and visitors who had visited the two religious sites presented a massive business opportunity. Unlike the previous years when the event was disrupted by heavy downpour, The sunny conditions, on the other hand, were even better to make life easier for the business people. And at the end of it all, it favored the vendors who set up stalls to make a quick bill at the end of the day. Those who were selling meat products, those who were selling groceries, those who were selling beverages. Quite a number of other businesses were also setting up stalls to market their businesses and share contacts to the many pilgrims who were in attendance of this year's celebrations. Now, besides the fast-moving goods, the play area was also something that the parents quickly utilized or used. As you can easily see, some of the simple circus situation within Namugongo that was also on display for some of the parents who took their children there as a time for relaxing off the huge heat temperatures that we had. Now, food, drinks, clothes, shoes, among others, were available in plenty during yesterday's celebrations and a day before, because many pilgrims had turned up 2 days to the event. And so, as wise as many of the entrepreneurs in the country, many had to utilize the opportunity. Now, besides that, our reporters did bump into some of the business people still ahead of the Namugongo Martyrs Day preparations, and then also during the day, which was yesterday on the 3rd of June, to see how excited they were, because it was a day filled up with lots of happiness on the side of the traders. Why? The money was there. Many were making some good money, and when you come to think of it, many made some huge profits, something that they only make in a month or 2 months' time. And you can only imagine someone making it in a day or 2 days. That is as of the 2nd of June to the 3rd of June. Now, they were a laughing stock of Namugongo Martyrs Shrine neighborhood after accusing each other of stealing from one another, by the way, from the developments. But pilgrims from across Uganda and beyond gathered at the prayer shrine seeking the intercession of the martyrs who were killed. And contrarily, these eventful messages were also an event of giving clear hope to the business community that, well, if at all you've been struggling, the chances are high that this year may be a year for you to break even and make more money for yourself. And of course, it was highly indicated with some of the sales that many of the business people were able to make during the day's celebrations. But also, on the other hand, there were also revelers who were drinking kabao, a local vodka, who narrated that they were done with prayers, so they had to follow up with celebrations. And not only that, there were also those who ended up heading into some meat joints to ensure that they have a good time. For the party revelers who were done also with the celebrations of Martyrs, they ended up going in for further celebrations in the Ugandan way, because it was a public holiday. And then also some believe that their sins had been washed away, so it would be another day for them to go again. And well, that is it from the business news this morning. Today, the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will be launching the budget month. Next week, we expect the budget to be presented to the Ugandans, the 72.1 trillion Ugandan shillings budget. And of course, looking at the key priorities for the next financial year, many of those are cited towards human capital development, as we are running under a theme that is focused on ensuring that the country, or the 49% of the Ugandans, get into the money economy, which means human capital development is one of those key sectors to be prioritized. And then security and health, among others. And this time round, even tourism is among those that will be prioritized. Now, summing up business this morning, we now look at the Forex updates to see how the different currencies were faring yesterday on Monday. And these are figures as of the 31st of May. The US dollar was buying at 3,810.71 shillings while selling at 3,820.71 shillings. By closing time, it was buying at 3,805.25 shillings while selling at 3,815.25. The Great Britain pound was buying at 4,840.65 shillings while selling at 4,853.40 shillings. And the euro was buying at 4,116.51 shillings was selling at 4,127.35 shillings. The Kenyan shilling at 29.15 for those buying, while selling was at 29.23 shillings. Looking at the Tanzanian shilling, it was buying at 1.46 while selling at 1.46 shillings. And then the South African rand was buying at 202.48 shillings while selling at 203.01 shillings. And that's it for business this morning. I'll be back tomorrow to give you more details from the world of business. But for now, Chantal Oliver Kanlinda is right here to give you more from the traffic updates. Stick around. Good morning.
For the traffic updates, my name is Chantal Oliver Kanina. Let's see how we can maneuver through different parts as we are trying to make our way to town. Welcome back from the long weekend. I presume you are very fatigued, because we all do know every chance Ugandans get, they will make sure they will have a good time. Now, we are on Entebbe Road and starting off from Bata side. As you can see from your screen, you are safe to move and everything seems to be okay. You only find a bit of a hold up or slow movement on Namasowa stage. Well, that's pretty obvious. The reason as to why there is slow movement is because it's a stage, and that is why you'll be finding a bit of slow movement. After that, you are safe to move, and until you get to the junction. This very junction is the one that is going to be having a lot of traffic, as you can see. And when we try to proceed, you will still realize that still staying on Entebbe Kampala Road, you will find a lot of traffic on there, and it goes all the way until just a small part where it loosens a bit. But after that, you will still be experiencing a lot of traffic, and it gets even worse as you are approaching Pearl Highway, and that is why you'll be finding a lot of traffic, and until you get to this until you get to Clock Tower. Now, when you get to Clock Tower, you will decide where you are going. If you want to go to Chiwiye side, you will figure that there is a lot of traffic and a bit of holdups in there. Mobutu Road is mad with traffic and holdups here and there. Queensway is safe for you to move, so if you're taking that route, or if you have a way you can maneuver through that route, you are safer taking that very route. Now, if you're going Katwe side, you'll be prepared for a bit of holdups in there and slow movement, as you can see with the yellow zones showing you that there is slow movement of traffic in there, but you'll be relatively okay to move if you have enough time on your hands. But if I still follow Queensway, as you can see, I am okay to move, and all the way up to Nsambia Road. And when I get to Nsambia Road, I am still free to move. Free to move as if you're proceeding on to Nsambia Road, all the way trying to get to Mukwano Road, you are safe to move until you start approaching further the Mukwano roundabout. That is where you'll be finding holdups and slow movement until you get to that roundabout that they call the Mukwano roundabout. If you're making your way to 8th Street, you're headed for some good traffic. Brace yourself for that. If you're going to use Access Road to join the Ginger Road lights, you are safe to move in the meantime, but I cannot guarantee that in the next 30 minutes you'll be finding the same thing. So if you're moving, move right now, or you might find it mad with a lot of traffic, like it usually does at around that time. Now, Yusuf Olole Road is relatively safe for you to move until you're approaching this very roundabout just below here, the roundabout that leads you to Nile Avenue, the roundabout that leads you to further to Yusuf Olole Road. You'll be finding slight traffic, especially at the roundabout. After that, Nile Avenue is safe for you to move until you also reach the roundabout that connects you to Said Bear Avenue and also proceeds to Nile Avenue. That is where you'll be finding slow movement, and you will be safe to move after that until you now try to join Kampala Road. This is where you'll be finding a little bit of traffic. Short of that, you are safe to move. As you can see on Kampala Road, slow movement is where you'll be finding traffic until you reach the lights that lead you to now back to Entebbe Road. This is where you'll be finding traffic for both of you who are coming to town and you who is leaving town. There will be traffic. Onto Kampala Road, there is slow movement generally, and there is not much of hold-ups, so you are safe to move. On to Bombo Road, you are safe to move, as you can see, until you are approaching Wadega. So if you're coming from Wadega side and joining Bombo Road, or from Bombo Road coming to town, there is a lot of traffic. I can assure you that you might want to either sit and wait out for it, or you maneuver through or use an alternative route if you are in position to. Binaisa Road is mad with a lot of traffic. Dualiro Road has a bit of hold-ups, but inside there has a lot of traffic as well. So Kafero Zone also has a lot of traffic. Gayaza Road is mad with a lot of traffic, and a few spots where you'll be able to move. But if you're coming to town, if you can avoid Gayaza Road, I highly recommend that you avoid it. And well, trying to make sure that I give you different routes and how they are faring, so that we try to strike a balance. And that is how we are standing at the moment. Thank you for staying with us. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda agenda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mtego. UBC Mtego.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Joko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala, we have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
It's a beautiful Tuesday, the 4th of June 2024. It's a beautiful day. And I like to say it's a beautiful day that the Lord has made. Actually, a special day because someone I love was born today, my nephew Scofield Luzige. So happy birthday. But before we delve into your birthday celebrations, let's look at what occurred at the Uganda Martyrs yesterday. Martyrs celebrations. This was a key celebration in the country. This day is a key point on Uganda's calendar. It's also a historical heritage for Uganda. When we remember 45 young men that were murdered at the orders of the then Kabaka Mwanga II, they were asked to renounce their faith or be killed, and they chose to die for the faith. Many conversations have been had regarding the Martyrs, and yesterday we did have a gentleman here, Mr. Chikomeko, who actually demystified some of the myths that we've heard about the Uganda Martyrs. He did mention that through his years of research, he has found that in as much as history has it that Kabaka Mwanga ordered for the killing of the Martyrs, in his own view, and according to the research he has made, the king, who was then around 23 years old, was coerced by the then Katikiro, a man that was very powerful and had had a blood covenant with the king's father, Mutesa, and he had as much power as a king would have. So many conversations you find when you dig deeper and try to have an understanding of the other side of the coin, because the danger of a single story is that it's not untrue, but it means that there is a side of the story that you've not heard. So yesterday we were able to learn that, and today we look at the Martyrs' Day celebrations. We look at the takeaways. What do you get from the celebrations yesterday? Was it a miss? Was it a gain? If you ask me, I'll say it was a gain because it was well performed. We did not have any security incidents, and here what I mean, we did not have any terror attacks or something of that sort. People didn't lose their lives. Of course, there are a few pilgrims that collapsed to their death, but largely, as an event that had over 2 million people converging in one place, it was a successful event. But I don't know if Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Oliver Kandinda feel the same way. And I'll go to Jerome Paul first. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I'll go to Jerome Paul. Jerome, in your own opinion, was the Martyrs Day celebration a success?
Well, it was a success if you look at it from a viewer's perspective. That is, for those who are following everything as it was ongoing live. Before we left here, the Anglican side had already started their prayers.
Yes.
That was at about 9:20, about 20 minutes. They were supposed to start by 9, but they were delayed by a few minutes, organization and that. And of course, the chief guest there was the Speaker to Parliament. The chief guest at the Catholic side was the President. Now, when it comes to how successful it was, now, from the viewer's perspective, it was successful. But on ground, there are some of the other pilgrims who were left stranded at the time of the prayers, or at the time the prayers started.
Yes.
Because of course, there was protocol and everything, and we all expect this to happen, especially when we have high-ranking government officials coming in an area.
Yes.
So we had so many of those yesterday. We had the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the President and the First Lady. So we were expecting a high level of security detail, and of which you have to give kudos to the police and other security organs who are well placed in every part of the area. But of course, some issues were raised, and these issues are the ordinary believer. Why am I using the word ordinary? This is an individual who trekked miles and miles to head to Namugongo to pray because they have a cause. And now reaching the gate, accessing the site became a little bit problematic for some, simply because of, well, we had government officials coming, then that means you had to be thoroughly checked for you to access certain areas. Of course, there were even, I remember yesterday when we were giving some of the traffic diversions, there were also those diversions. Now, for a believer who's used to going to Namgongo maybe for prayers, or who's just used to getting dressed up and heading to church, these are some of the things you're never used to on a daily. So when you look at, if you observe it from someone who was on ground,
yes,
there was a little bit of, you know, challenges, if I may put it in that way, for those who had gone there.
Maybe
in
you're
good faith.
even being very generous by saying a little bit.
No, because not all of them faced the situation, especially those who arrived earlier.
Okay.
But for those who arrived between 8 to 10, because by 10 when the services had already kicked off, for example, Mass at the Catholic side, and then service at the Anglican side that kicked off at 9, you get to realize that by 10 you expected everyone to be inside. That is in regards to the preparations and everything. You want everything to start in order.
That's right.
But when you realize that by 10 a.m. some people are not inside, then it puts a question on the preparations, especially on the final day. But if I'm to give it a mark, I would definitely say 80% on the successful rates, but the 20% needs to be checked.
Okay. Do you think people were stranded just because of the time they reached, or because, I mean, the reports indicate that over 2 million people converged at both the Anglican and Catholic shrines in Namgongo? Could it be that it's not really because they were late, but because probably the place was filled up?
No, according to the organizers, they had initially revealed that they expect close to 2 million people.
Yes.
Now that number is still debatable on whether we made the 2 million, but what I do know is 1 million people might have been converged in that area.
Still quite a number.
Exactly. And when you also look at the other previous numbers, last year I think it was about 1.7. 1.5.
It was more than that because only the Catholic side had 1.2.
1.2 on the Catholic side last year.
And yes, reports have been indicating that this has been the one that had the most numbers.
No, the 1.2
like
last time was what was recorded
on the Catholic side.
Only. Remember their registration books, especially for everyone who is accessing the site. Now that means if 1.2 then, and if this year we had a huge number, then the 2 million was there. But if you have the 2 million, then that means, according to the organizers, they were prepared. They knew this was the estimate. So that means you're planning.
You plan ahead.
And if we reach a time where not all of the people who have come can access the inside, then you get to realize that it goes back to our level of preparations.
Okay, level of preparation. Now, there have been also issues regarding health. Many people are reported to have collapsed
Right.
due to dehydration and also hunger. Remember, some of these people trekked for months or for weeks or for days. And we know it's been hot over the last couple of weeks, but also long distances. Were they eating enough? Did they have sufficient medical care on their way to the shrines? And even when they got there, I understand there was a medical camp, but how much help was given to them in terms of food and water?
Most of them, especially during the trekking, were on the mercy of the people in that particular areas. However, what we know is that Nebi Diocese had the Red Cross with them, and that because for them now that they were the designated hosts of this year's celebration.
On the Catholic side.
Yes. However, we had a lot of cases, and as of yesterday, what we knew was we had over 1,000 that were reported to have been hospitalized, to have been checked, and most of them, especially those who are from long distances, the biggest problem was the sun. The sun was really too much. Then others, it was food poisoning, others red eye. So a number of others malaria and acute malaria. I think because of they trekked for months.
And the places where they were sleeping.
Yes, the places where they were sleeping were not really conducive, for them to sleep. So a number of health issues were reported, but even just yesterday, only yesterday, over 50 people were hospitalized. This is Ugandans, this is non-Ugandans like the Kenyans, for example. So when it comes to the health bit, people were really affected by this trek, and some were rushed to hospitals. And then also even the crowding at the shrines itself. Some just got suffocated, and they had not been resting well and enough. So a number of reasons and a number of things really happened in terms of health when it comes to the pilgrims that
And you
made
know, when you're speaking about pilgrims, what comes into your mind are people that are able. They're abled people walking, and they're okay. But let's look at the persons living with disabilities. How well prepared were the organizers to receive such people, and what kind of help was given to them in case of any challenges encountered?
Again, I think, you see, when you've mentioned persons with disability, where the church failed is when these people are trekking to Namugongo, the only element behind most of the church leaders is people are trekking because of their faith. So that means whatever happens, it's an individual initiative. So whatever happens, it is obviously some people believe that, well, God is doing the healing in the process. But again, you have to also be part of that healing process.
Right.
That means you have to be very mindful about your health and your body. And this is where we failed at in regards to the preparations, because just imagine if we didn't have organizations like Red Cross in such an area, because for years now they do a lot of the work to ensure that they work on the casualties that normally happen during such days. And the good thing though, there was at least a space for the persons with disability where they, as you can see on screen, that at least some of them had a specific place where they could converge, or where they converge during the times, because you cannot be in the same environment with others.
But I am curious though, did they have a special entrance? Because you can see some of them are on wheelchairs, probably others were using crutches and sticks. So the Katumba.
I've also seen him on screen for the first time.
I've not seen him since the elections. Wow, so we've gotten, so the event brought so many people
But
out.
you see, as you can see on screen, they were moving together.
Yes.
Persons with disability and even
Everyone
those
was
without. Everyone was in there.
So if you're my relative and you're a person with disability and you want to go, I have to be responsible
for you.
And yes, push a wheelchair and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I don't think there was an initiative or there was a deliberate measure put in place for the people with disabilities. Because if we are trekking from Kabale and you're a person with disability, I doubt that you're going to be even allowed, unless if you know you have personal care with you, because it's initiative. The most you can do is register that I'm moving as part of this diocese, but most of the things you actually cater for yourself.
Take care of your people and take care of yourself.
You know, even earlier, as Mass and service kicked off, Mass at the Catholic side and also service the other side, there was also a warning that was pushed through, that was issued rather, about offertory. Because the organizers had noticed that there were specific individuals who had come prepared to take offertory and move out with it.
You know, when you're in church, they normally tell you lately that, yes, we are in church and it's a place of transformation, but not everyone is ready for transformation. So safeguard your
even where the children of God are.
There is, I mean, Judas was close to Jesus. But now going back, let's talk about the events of the night before the D-Day, the noise, the chaos. What transpires from your own perspectives? What do you know happens? What events, like I have never been to Namgongo for Martyrs Day celebrations, so, and I believe I'm not alone, okay? So for someone who wants to make a pilgrimage to Namgongo days before the event, what would you tell them happens before the D-Day?
I think it's the best time for you to go as a pilgrim. If you want to go and prepare, you have to prepare accordingly. One, because the access to the venue becomes very easy for you, especially if you're inside. In my own observation, I've not attended the final day, but I've been there before the initial time starts, or before the initial before the celebrations start.
Yes.
When you look at the preparations, most of the people who move inside carry with them some beddings. Beddings like maybe a bed cover, others carry with them bed sheets or a simple blanket, jumpers, flasks. Why? They move out of the venue or go around you know, the Chaliwajala route and the neighboring areas to buy some food. As you can see, there are some mini markets there. You buy some food, you move with it, you stock, you move inside. Many of them find you know, themselves being sheltered within. Why? Because if it's third, it is going to be very difficult for you to move inside. They are going to check you thoroughly. And besides that, you're not the only one. So we have close to 1,000 people coming in on that very day. So that means the better way is for you to...
a long stretch and a long line.
Exactly. So the better way is for you to go there, maybe 2 days too, or a day too. On Sunday, I managed to also observe some trekkers who were coming in from South Sudan. The good thing was, these days, the police is always moving with the trekkers, just so they are not attacked by any sort of, you know,
that's true.
assailants in the night.
So there has been ample security given to the pilgrims.
So that they move. And also on Saturday, I observed when I was in Chitende, I observed those who moved from Entebbe. They also had 2 policemen with them, and
some did have, but now along like Ginger Road, there was a point where I was passing and people did not have any direction, and if you are not careful, you would actually knock them.
Yes.
And this is like 5 in the morning, and they're trekking, no guidance, numbers, and there were very many. Some were given security and others were not, but you can say to a bigger percentage, they were actually given security.
So,
and I do like that some, like I encountered some last week, I think around Friday, and they had reflector jackets. That was a very good initiative, because in the past we've had incidents where they have been knocked because motorists could not see them in the dead of night. But now let's focus our attention to the iconic businesses that happen.
There's a very iconic one there on the screen.
You've been avoiding to have the conversation.
The economy during the Martyrs Day celebrations. What is the one item that sells the most? And what other activities? Which food?
Meat.
Which meat?
All kinds of meat, but especially pork.
Okay.
And when you go to, actually, there is a stretch from Chaliwajala down Namugongo side. I think these people really wait for June because that's when they get to have that kind of celebration where people eat a lot of pork, a lot of it.
No, because the Catholics are highly known for that.
Are you Catholic?
I grew up from a Catholic family.
Are you Catholic?
No, I am not.
I was raised in a Catholic church. What is the connection between that meat and Catholics? And I'm not even
maybe not like that, but maybe that connection, the connection of that meat and beer, maybe.
Also, beer was highly, sold
consumed, yes.
during that time.
Yes.
Even matoke, you can easily see on the screen.
And I see merry-go-rounds, the joy rides also happening.
And that is a new development. The last I checked, and because previously we did not have some of those things there, so maybe it's good for
especially for the people that come with kids.
That come with kids, to keep them occupied.
But by the look of things, it was filled up with adults.
Do you know trekking from Masaka?
It is well. Haven't you ever seen an adult on a trampoline?
Okay, so now let's look at some of the key speeches. And but before we even move to the speeches, there has been contempt, and people on social media have been saying, why would normal, ordinary Ugandans travel miles and miles, kilometers and kilometers to come to the shrines, and then when the D-Day comes, politicians are given more light. The event is made political. At least that is some of those are some of the comments I have picked from some social media commentators. Sonko, in your personal opinion, and you, Chantal, I'll ask you the same question. Do you feel that some of the events that were to unite the country, not related to politics at all, have been turned around and have been politicized?
But I think over the years, religion and church has politicized everything, and they've over the years showed us that there is less equality amongst the believers. Even when you happen to go to church today, there is going to be a specific space for a political leader. There has got to be some space for maybe a high-ranking private sector person. So the church has always been very specific in regards to how they segregate the believers. However much we do not want to have that as a huge kind of concern or topic of conversation. So yesterday, it was something that clearly was observed by everybody. That, we have ministers coming in, that means we have to clear some space. And when you also look at the fact that we had the president coming in, that was really expected, because you do not expect the president and to be passing through the same lane with the people he's leading. Because even when you look at the interpretation of the Bible, at least they give you an indication that, for example, where they say, give Caesar what belongs to Caesar and God what belongs to God. I'm not saying, no, I'm not saying it is the reason as to why we are segregating people
You'll
today.
be shocked by what I have to say, but
it clearly shows you.
I'm curious to hear it, but let him
But it
finish.
clearly shows you that even during the New Testament times, there was that period where those in authority on earth were treated quite different from those or from the subjects. Now, the situation that we are having here, which is quite unfair, by the way, and I'm not siding with the church because it is segregation and inequality, is we expect it to happen, but the only problem is the format in which it happens. The normal or the ordinary citizen is normally treated like as if they do not matter in such a day. And yet previously, they have been the only people who have been the face of Namugongo ahead of the preparations. So which shows you that how the politicians are treated makes it even easier for them to politicize such events and celebrations.
Chantal, you were burning to say
ideally, I would love to first ask Sonko a question. Ideally, what should have been done? Ideally, as you think about that, you brought out something very, very, very interesting and important. And I do not, I'll still say I do not agree with how some of the events unfolded. However, I think sometimes we blow it a bit out of proportion. How? Even when we're being taught, when they're preaching and all that, you will need to know that when someone is of a higher rank, when someone is of a higher anointing, when someone is in a position where you are not, there are privileges to it. And those privileges have been given not just by on earth here, but have been given by God. So that means that people, just like the president cannot be earning the same amount as the deputy speaker or as the speaker, just like the minister or just like, just like the member of parliament cannot earn the same as the speaker of parliament. There is levels to these things. You get it? So at some point, we need to understand that they are living in a certain anointing, in a certain level that they are supposed to be, irrespective of how we think they got there. But they are there, and they are supposed to be having that. The only challenge would be on if, for example, people are being flogged, people are being mistreated, say at the entrances, just because someone is coming. Yet we can be organized and say, we have a route for the dignitaries to use. We know the time they will be coming, or at least a range of time they will be coming. They will use this route and get in. The rest of our people, because you have long queues, enter from here. Now that is the part where organization seems to be a challenge, and we need to fix it. We should
I think sorry to cut you short. I think the organizers, to a degree, are between a rock and a hard place. Because when you're going to receive the president, we've all experienced it. Some sections of the road are going to be closed off for quite some time.
I'm not even talking about the president.
No,
that one
I'm talking about the dignitaries. So what I'm trying to say is maybe they want to do that. They want to leave a section, but you know how narrow Namgongo Road is. So you want to leave a section for people to continue moving, but then some dignitaries are coming. How do you do it to ensure that the pilgrims are happy and the dignitaries
if we want,
are not?
I don't know if this discussion has been had before, but if you want, I believe where there is a will, there is a way. We can sit and figure this thing out. We are speaking from the studio, but if we got on site right now, I'm sure if we put our minds together, we'd figure out something.
Because on the side of normally vehicles that head to Namugongo, the lane that takes to Namugongo is the lane that was cleared for the dignitaries. Now, the other lane that takes vehicles away from Seta, Namugongo to Charlie Wajala was given to the trekkers. So they actually put some guards whereby one lane was clearly given to the dignitaries to move swiftly.
At least that was done.
Exactly, as you can see there.
Yes, at least that was
But the only
done,
problem is at times, even the Ugandans themselves,
that's what I'm telling you. We are failing to understand.
I understand that part, but I would like for us to move on from, I see that's a hot one. Now, let's talk about the holy water. It's a message. It is something that has made headlines, pictorials on dailies, on front pages. There was an issue with the holy water. The faithfuls were asked to boil the water before they drink it. And their argument was, if we boil the water,
it will lose its holiness.
It will lose the holy bit of it. What do you have to say about that briefly? Because I would like for us now to look into the speeches, but before that.
It evaporates.
But the holiness evaporates.
But I think on their side, from a believer's perspective, they are right. And then also from those who are warning them, they are also right.
How are the believers right?
No, everyone has got how they approach faith and belief. No. I do not want to water down anyone's sort of, belief and how they attach themselves.
Who are preaching to us at the same time, just to boil the water.
So when you look at those who access the well or access the lake, the mini lake that is there, many of them feel if I wash my face in the water, it is enough for me.
Sonko, now, have you been to Namgongo when it is not Martyrs Day celebration?
Yes, I've been there.
Have you seen the color of that
It
water?
is the same even up to today.
The color
it looks
of the water,
it's
greenish.
It is greenish.
It doesn't even
so that
look
is why.
healthy at
So that
all.
is why they were warned, because those who take care of the area know what they are taking care of.
Yes.
Now, for a believer who has something, who is highly driven by the dogmatic kind of experience and lectures, they feel. Tolina Mugamba at that moment, he's high in spirit.
But do you know?
So for them, they know. When you access a holy place, in your mind, you're like, that's
the dogmatic part.
Exactly. So let me just wear
that
myself
kind of
in the water.
thinking was propagated by a certain individual who preached a certain way. So why don't we go back and change some of those things? Because we all do know that those are falsehoods. You cannot tell me that stagnant water. You can't tell me that stagnant water.
That's debatable. And what are you calling stagnant water?
You know what you're saying is stagnant.
Individuals that propagated all this information into the minds of these individuals. So why don't we have that kind of shift and change? Because listen, someone tells me, I believe where they burnt so and so from is where the holy water is, and it's where my healing is going to come from. But is it really true?
Auntie Chantal,
no, the people who have got miracles from there,
thank you very much,
who have actually
Chantal,
got things from the same area.
Yesterday when we were speaking to Mr. Chikomeko, he did say that while the Martyrs were being burnt, they broke into a song.
Yes,
okay?
Worship, yes.
It is faith. And some people say, I've been going to Namgongo over this period of time, and this is what I've achieved. So I will concur with Sonko to a degree, that because of faith, some people are going to do things that don't make sense to a layman like you and I. But still, this doesn't mean that we are condoning taking of that water without boiling it. That's not what we are saying. Boil the water because maybe back in the day it was okay.
Because Holy Spirit will evaporate.
Anyway, let's look at the speeches, because time is against us, but I would like us to launch into the speeches. The president did have a key points that he highlighted, and of course he did say that after Ebola and COVID-19, we are now vibing. Who is writing these words for our president?
Definitely. You know, when the president reads his speeches, sometimes you will know that a millennial or a Gen Z wrote this, or the two combined wrote
But he's a very
speeches.
smart man, and he's known for writing his own speeches. But I think some of his assistants are young, and they tell him, Mr. President, this is the
word. This is the language being used.
The language for the youth. And he understands the Bazukulu. But he did say that we are now vibing, that we are going back, the economy is stabilizing from the menace that was the pandemic. And of course, the areas of Mitiana side, Mubende, where there was Ebola, they are also now stabilizing and things have gotten back to normal. And then on the issue of homosexuality, he was very vocal about that. Jerome Paul Sonko, tell us more about the president's comments regarding homosexuality and the others that he mentioned in his speech.
Well, on the issue of the homosexuality or the gays, he is highly quoted saying they should not scare us, or we are not going to be scared by that. And of course, we also remember the times when the government was debating the anti-homosexuality bill, now an act.
Yes.
We remember the times those who are backing it were revealing to the fact that they will not be scared or moved by the Western powers. And of course, him coming out on, to speak about this in front of a congregation of believers is to, remind the Ugandans that the country is still steady on its values and its cultures, because when you look at, and its culture rather, when you look at the reason behind why we asserted it into law was because of the element of culture, and of course those who are backing the law are saying we are not going to accept a different culture to come and overtake our beliefs or our social beliefs. So also looking at it from there, it is a sign that the president was saying that for him he's standing on his point and what the many members of parliament stood with. Now, on the element of COVID-19, like you've mentioned, when you also remember during 2020 and 2021, we did not have the celebrations in Namugongo. Why? Because of the restrictions and that. And today, when he mentions something to do with the vibe and how our economy is actually growing back, it is really evident with the way that there is a lot of freedom for the business people to now retry again and go back. Because 2 years back, it wasn't the same situation. It was a situation where even the church was struggling on its own behalf. Because remember, people were praying from home. If we all remember that time, and some of the Pentecostal churches or church leaders decided to even go on strike because they wanted their the congregation back in church.
Yes, Pastor Chiganda wore a sack, and he did what was Esther's uncle's name in the book of Esther, what he did when he wore a sack and stood at the gates of the palace.
I want to remember the name. I want to bring back my spirituality.
When did you last read your Bible?
I read today morning, but I was reading a New Testament. But
that is the most correct
answer.
But it's not the right one.
No,
it's correct, but not right.
But besides that,
yes.
so when you deeply also look into the aspect of, you know, harmony and what we need as a country, because I'm looking at what the president was highly putting out there, that now you're looking at a country that is growing back into its, I won't say glory days, but a country that is growing into the right path.
Recovering. Getting back on our feet.
And it comes at a time when we are even launching the budget month.
Yes.
But besides that, also the element of dealing with security has always been something that the president has been preaching against.
Yes.
And
against or he's for security?
Rather,
preaching
insecurity.
About,
yes.
And preaching about how we really need to look out for one another, and also ensuring the Ugandans that as a country, because when you look at also the element of him acknowledging that we had visitors who came into the country, and then you also see him acknowledging the fact that we also had Mama Nyerere who came in also. She has been coming in since 2007. The only 2 years she didn't come in was 2020 and 2021. But that was also to remind the Ugandans that with the visitors that are coming in the country, the security that we have is a testament of how far we have gone.
And I agree with that. Having over 2 million people converge in one place and you don't have any terror incident, that
from different parts of the world.
And at the backdrop of it, 115 people were arrested.
Exactly.
Those who are trying to create, you know, chaos around.
Yes. Exactly. So it was a successful event when you look at different angles. Of course, our friends in the media, some of them had a few issues here and there as they tried to give live feeds to their different media houses. But all in all, it was a success. Here at UBC, we were able to bring you live feeds and show you how events were unfolding in real time. Now, as we close, Chantal, what were the main comments the speaker had, briefly?
Well, the speaker had comments to give to people who, one, seem to be fighting the truth that she stands for, that she believes in, and and she also coupled her conversation, her speech with what the president said. But she said those who stand for the truth are threatened, criticized, opposed, and misunderstood and sanctioned. They are even accused or rejected. And this was according to the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Annett Among.
That was a religious event, and the speaker sounded like she was preaching, rightly so. Because it was a religious event.
and in a way, she's wise in a way because she's a
politician. Anyway, that's all that we had for you. Interesting conversation on what happened at the Martyrs Day celebrations. This is a key day on our calendar. Now, I understand that some of you were just at home resting and viewing the events as they occurred in real time on your TVs. And next year, maybe, have some faith and go to Namgongo. Your life could turn around. Well, my name is Olive Monica Najima, and I've been having this conversation with Chantal Olive and Jerome Paul. And together, we give you Good Morning Uganda every single morning from 6:30 to 9 a.m. So if you're joining us for the very first time, this is how interesting our conversations can be. Catch us tomorrow, but we are still continuing. Ruben Impima is coming up next with sports.